Hello, I have a huge fear of electrical appliances, oven, washing machine, dryer. A month ago, I suffered a fire because of an appliance. How can this be overcome? Okay, first things first, I want to be crystal clear about something right from the start. What you're feeling, it is not an overreaction, not at all. A fire? I mean, that's a direct threat to your life. Your whole system, your brain, your body, everything, it's just doing exactly what it's supposed to do after facing that kind of danger. That fear you feel, that's a sign your survival instincts are working perfectly. So let's talk about what's actually happening inside your brain. It is so important to understand this. Your brain isn't broken. It's not malfunctioning. It's actually doing its job. It's protecting you. You can almost think of it like a really loyal bodyguard who saw something terrible happen and is now on super high alert, totally determined not to let anything like that ever happen again. So let's dive in and see how that incredible protection system works. What you're likely experiencing is something we call traumatically conditioned fear. Now, it sounds technical, but the idea is actually pretty simple. Your brain learned from one really terrifying event that appliances can mean serious, life-threatening danger. The smoke alarm analogy here is perfect. Think about it. It went off for a real fire, and it did its job. But now it's become so sensitive, so vigilant, that it sounds the alarm for anything that even remotely resembles smoke. And this creates this brand new, super simple logic in the survival part of your brain. All of a sudden, an appliance isn't just a machine anymore. It's a potential danger. That little click it makes, or low humming sound, or even just the light coming on, those aren't neutral things anymore. They're alarms. And here's the crucial part. When that alarm goes off, your body doesn't just, remember the fire. No, it reacts as if the fire is happening right now, in this exact moment. Okay, so before we get into a real plan for moving forward, we have to talk about what doesn't work. And this is really important because a lot of common advice, stuff we hear from well-meaning people, or even things we tell ourselves, can actually backfire and make the fear worse. It's nobody's fault, really. It just comes from not understanding how that brain alarm system is wired to work. You know those phrases like, just get over it, or nothing's gonna happen, or trying to force yourself to use the appliance? That's basically like yelling at that super sensitive smoke alarm. It just doesn't work. And why that? Because that survival part of your brain, the part that's in charge right now, it doesn't speak logic at all. Trying to rationalize with it is like trying to have a calm debate in the middle of a fire drill. It's just not listening. Its only job is to get you to safety, period. It's built to act first and think later, and right now, it truly believes it's saving your life. So the big question is, how do we communicate with this part of the brain? How can we gently recalibrate that alarm system? Well, we do it respectfully, carefully, and with a clear plan that's all about rebuilding that sense of safety from the ground up. So let's walk through what that path forward looks like, step by step. This path forward has 4 main stages. First up, we're going to focus on restoring a sense of control in your environment. Then, we'll learn how to work with your body's physical reactions, not against them. After that, we'll start a very gentle process of reintroducing a feeling of safety. And finally, we'll talk about why it's so important to give this experience a voice. All right, let's dive into step 1, restoring control. Look, before you can even begin to work on the internal fear, you have to feel safe externally. And I want to be clear, this isn't about giving in to the fear. It's about honoring it. It's about taking real, practical steps. Get a qualified technician to check your wiring. Make sure your smoke detector has fresh batteries. Keep a fire extinguisher handy. Every single one of these actions sends a powerful message to your brain. It says, see, I'm taking charge. I'm making this space safe. This creates the solid foundation we need for everything else. Now for step 2, working with your body. So when you feel that wave of panic starting to build, your first instinct might be to fight it. But the goal here is actually to soothe your nervous system. Something as simple as changing your breathing can make a huge difference. A longer exhale actually sends a direct signal to your brain that says, hey, we're safe. Let's try it for a second. A slow breath in for a count of 4, and then a longer, slower breath out for 6. While you're doing that, ground yourself right here, right now. Really feel your feet on the floor. Look around the room and name 5 things you can see. This literally pulls your brain out of the past trauma and anchors it in the safety of this present moment. And that leads right into the kind of self-talk that your body can actually hear and understand. This phrase right here, I am here now, the fire is a past event, is like an anchor. It doesn't pretend what happened didn't happen, it acknowledges it, but it puts it where it belongs, in the past. Meanwhile, it confirms that you are safe right now. Just repeating that to yourself, even in your head, helps your nervous system tell the difference between a memory and a current reality. Okay, this brings us to step 3, and this is where we start to gently reteach the brain. We do this using something called an exposure ladder. The whole idea is to reintroduce the appliance in tiny, totally manageable steps, like the ones you see here. And listen, the only right pace is your pace. Seriously, maybe today, all you can do is stand in the same room. You know what? That's a huge win. If you feel overwhelmed, it's not a failure. It's just your body telling you to take one step back on the ladder. It's all about listening to your body. Every single small step you take is a massive victory. And our fourth and final step is it's so important. It's all about the story of what happened to you. See, unspoken trauma has a way of staying alive inside of us. It gets trapped in the body, in the parts of the brain that don't use words. When we just try to move on and not talk about it, the experience stays active. But giving it words, telling the full story of what happened to someone you trust, someone who can just listen and be supportive, like a therapist or a really good friend, that helps your brain process it. It's what allows you to finally move that memory from a terrifying thing that feels like it's still happening into a story about something that happened in the past. While all of these steps can be incredibly powerful on their own, sometimes the impact of a trauma is just so deep that we need a guide to help us find our way back. And I really want to stress this. Recognizing when you need that support isn't a sign of failure. It's an act of incredible self-awareness. It's a sign of strength. So you might be asking, how do I know if it's time to seek professional help? That's a great question. Let's look at a few key signs that might suggest the trauma's grip needs a little extra support to loosen. Take a look at this list. If any of this sounds familiar, if the fear feels like it's getting worse instead of better, if you find yourself avoiding your own home or certain rooms, if you're dealing with panic attacks or you just can't sleep, or if you keep seeing images of what happened, please know that this is so common. It doesn't mean you're failing. It just means your nervous system is stuck in overdrive, working so hard to protect you, and it needs some specialized help to learn how to feel safe again. And I want to leave you with this one last thought. You survived something truly terrifying. The very fact that you're here, that you're seeking out information and trying to understand how to heal, that says everything about your resilience. That is the ultimate sign of your strength. This isn't weakness. What you're doing right now, this is courage in action.